This week on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
feel like I feel like you leave a trail of lies. The fact that you champion body positivity, and now that's a lie too.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the new episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 5. Let's get right into it. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are only 5 episodes deep into The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 5, and this season's been so good. I mean, every single episode, Salt Lake City never disappoints, and I'm afraid that Salt Lake City might be one of the best housewives out of the whole franchise, because, I mean, it has only been 5 seasons, but the fact that each one of them have been, like, top tier, it's good. So let's get right into this. So the episode begins with Lisa and Bronwyn meeting up to get a foot massage. I gotta be honest, I like Bronwyn now. The first few episodes, I didn't know too much about her, but I'm really liking her. I also think that her fashion is very interesting. It's fun to see the different outfits that she has because they're all crazy. So something very crazy happened with Bronwyn and Lisa. So when they were at the airport, when they were coming back from Milwaukee, Lisa made a comment to Bronwyn in which she said to her, "You look a lot like your daughter Gwen." And Bronwyn was like, "No, not really. She looks more like her father." So Bronwyn looks up, she looks for a picture of of her daughter Gwen's father to show it to Lisa to show her that she looks more like her dad. And what a freaking small world. Turns out Lisa knows this individual and knows his family personally. So in this scene here at the when they're getting their massage, they're talking more about this. Bronwyn talks about having her baby with this guy. So she gives a little backstory. When she went to BYU at the age of 18, and BYU is like some Mormon university. It's a big deal for the Mormons up there in Utah. So Bronwyn ended up getting pregnant, and she and the guy went to go talk to his parents. And basically, it didn't go well. They said a lot of hurtful things to her. They shamed her. I don't know if they realized that their son ejaculated in her. She didn't just get pregnant all by herself, but she said that they said some very hurtful things. She didn't go into specifics, but even her telling the story and seeing how like upset she was talking about what happened when she was 18, I can tell that they must have said some horrible things to her. So then these trashy parents of the guy told Bronwyn that the best thing was for her to leave the state, to like pretend she had to go do something abroad. So basically, she was going to get no help from them. And this also unfortunately strained Bronwyn's relationship with her own parents. Bronwyn was in tears as she was telling this story, and I felt really bad for her. Those people have never acknowledged Bronwyn's daughter. Long story short, a while ago, this gets crazier. So a while ago, Bronwyn is scrolling on Facebook and she sees an obituary of Gwen's dad, the man who she had her baby with, who Bronwyn had her baby with. So that little girl never got the opportunity to meet her dad. And this is absolutely crazy because Lisa, again, she knows the family of the guy, and she was actually with them when the man died. She was with the family. Lisa ended up reaching out to the grandparents after this airport when she found out, and the grandparents said that it was time for them to meet their grandchild, Bronwyn's daughter. Bronwyn thinks that this will pain her, but wow, that was a lot to unpack the first 10 minutes of the episode. Listen, I'm a very spiritual person. Is getting pregnant at 18 outside of marriage ideal? No, of course not. But if it happens, it happens. So what's the point of trying to shame her for them to have neglected this young girl with a child that she was carrying a baby? That is honestly worse than what they're blaming her of doing. The Lord would not be okay with what those grandparents and that man did. I mean, I know he's passed away, but still, that was not okay. Oof. Okay, so the next scene, Heather, Whitney, and Brittany go skiing. When they got back from the trip, Brittany got back home to a house full of flowers and gifts and a card from Jared. So now this girl is thinking, well, maybe he does like me. She's gonna meet up with him. Her delusion is insane. Brittany says that Lisa was also being very rude to her about her relationship with Jared in the trip. So then Whitney tells them that she is also super mad at Lisa after the trip because remember how in the last dinner Whitney gave them all her necklaces from her line? Well, when they left, the hotel called Whitney to tell her that they found a necklace in the trash and the necklace was from Lisa's room. So the necklace that Whitney gave them, Lisa threw it in the trash. So she's super upset about that. And Heather says to Whitney, Whitney, you do know that Lisa was the one who told Meredith the rumor about your products being cheap, right? Whitney's like, what? And Heather's like, yeah, Lisa told Meredith and Meredith told me. So Whitney is livid. So then we see Mary. She's in her house and she calls her son Robert Jr. out the room. He was sort of slurring his speech. He walks out and he's asking for money, which is all he does. He did that when Mary was in Milwaukee as well, asking for money. He then goes back to bed, and I think this is so sad. Here you have a young man who has so much potential because he's of young age, not doing anything with his life, not going to school. And Mary says that he can't get a job because of his lifestyle. Mary, come on. If that's the case, he might need some therapy or you need to pray for him. It is such a sad case. So then Angie picks up Mary and they go to a dance class, and one of Heather's daughters was there too. Watching Angie and Mary dancing was so fun, and it was also a little funny because there was like no context to it, just them randomly dancing all of a sudden. After that, Angie says to Mary that she's very mad at Lisa. Then they say that Lisa has had problems with Jen Shah, Meredith, Whitney, Mary, Monica, Angie Harrington, and now Angie K. So Angie's starting to think that perhaps Lisa might be the common denominator. So then we see Heather and Lisa go to salt caves. And I saw these salt caves on that show that just came out called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Have y'all seen that, by the way? It's super interesting because it kind of feels like Salt Lake City in a way. But anyway, it's a room where it's completely covered in Himalayan salt, and they say that it has like healing properties. I totally believe it. Okay, so Heather is just being so messy this season, extra messy. So Heather says that, she was telling Lisa, I feel like Angie has been very rude to you lately. Like, it's so unnecessary how she's been so rude. And then she also tells Lisa something pretty tough. So do y'all remember that last dinner in Milwaukee, how Lisa and Angie were going back and forth, and Lisa said something to the effect of, go talk to Electra, since that's what you always do. Well, after that, Angie went to Heather's room and told Heather that she was very upset that Lisa brought up Electra, her daughter, in the argument. And Angie also said to Heather, I pay a lot of attention to my daughter. I don't just let her play video games up until 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh, so clearly that was a dig at Lisa, and now here is Heather telling Lisa. So now Lisa's in tears. That's a low blow. Why is she questioning my mothering skills? Well, who brought up the child first? Lisa did. So what do you expect? An action always has a reaction. And what kills me is Heather being so messy and then in her confessional being like, I probably shouldn't have said that, but they needed to know. So what do y'all think about that situation? Let me know. So then we see Whitney with her husband, and she gets a call from a guy named Adam. He's the YouTuber Up and Adam. Remember he interviewed Jen Shah? So Whitney contacted him to see if he could look up who was the person who put out the rumor that the jewelry that she has is cheap China pieces. So he did some investigation, and the person he contacted found out who it was. And Adam asked this person, okay, did the person who put out these rumors have a beauty lab? And they said no. Do they have a makeup brand? No. Do they have a liquor line? And they said yes. And who's the only one that has a liquor line? Well, Lisa in the group. So to Whitney, this is like confirmation that it was Lisa who began the rumor. Wow. Then this next scene was interesting. Brittany goes to see Jared. I can't believe she's been twisting into pretzels trying to defend this basic ass man. So he starts gaslighting her. He says that he's so sad over this breakup because he was totally blindsided by her. Then, when they were on the trip, Lisa Barlow started texting him and FaceTiming him from Brittany's phone. Okay, I can understand why he was mad about that. I get it. I do think Lisa had good intentions, but I can totally understand how she was crossing a boundary and how, as a man, he'll be upset about that. I understand that. He says that he's always been loving to Brittany, but then Brittany says to him that he doesn't make her feel safe. And he's a red flag. He still has a bunch of dating apps. And she says that when they are like in public and he sees a hot girl, he lets her hand go. But this dumbass is sitting here telling her, I've done all that I can. And she's like, really? Okay, so I guess I got my answer then. So they decide to put a pin in their situationship. The next scene is Bronwyn. She bought some of those crumble cookies, which I've heard are nasty. I've never tried them. Have any of y'all tried them? Let me know. And by the way, Bronwyn's dogs wearing these crochet sweaters made me laugh. But Bronwyn is having a conversation with her daughter Gwen over her paternal grandparents wanting to meet her all of a sudden. So her daughter Gwen says that initially she thought this was good. She was actually excited about this. But now that time has gone by and things have settled a little bit, they got a text from these grandparents where they said that they were ready to meet her, but that Gwen needed to be in a place where she could accept them. What the hell does that even mean? So that kind of turned Gwen off. The vibes felt weird. And I felt really bad hearing Bronwyn's daughter Gwen speak. She says, listen, they've had 18 years to reach out, and for 18 years they chose not to. And I could also tell a sadness behind her voice that made me feel really bad, because what she really wants to know is more about her dad. She's only ever seen one picture of him because that's all that Bronwyn has to show her. Now that he's dead, the only way she could learn more about her father would be through these grandparents. But I just feel so bad for her because, yes, her dad didn't step up. He didn't father his offspring that he created. But this poor little girl doesn't know where she came from. That side, that paternal side. So very sad, very emotional. And this is a very real and raw storyline. So credit for them for allowing us to see this. Alright, so it's a new day. Heather, Mary, Lisa, and Brittany go do some activities like riding a dirt bike on a bunch of mud, zip lining. They got poor Mary doing the crazy stuff this season. Then they set up a little table with some food. Heather gives Brittany a unicorn to remind her that she's strong. So then they ask her how did her closure with Jared go. And Brittany says, well, I don't really want to talk about it. I'm very upset about it, actually. I'm very upset at Lisa. And Lisa says, you're upset at me? Huh? And Brittany says, yeah, because you were sending him texts and FaceTiming him, and you caused a huge rift. Why are you so invested in my relationship? And Lisa says, why am I so invested in your relationship? What are you talking about? We called him out for his bad behavior. He deserved it. But now, Brittany is defending Jared, and she says, Lisa, what you did might have ruined my friendship with him forever. Okay. Again, like I said earlier, I really don't think that Lisa was being malicious. Did she cross a boundary? Yes. But I think that she honestly did it out of a place where she was trying to uplift Brittany and being like, you deserve better than this man. Also, Brittany, you can't act all surprised that people have opinions on your so-called relationship with Jared when that's all you've talked about. Brittany says to them, y'all need to stay out of it. And then Mary jumps in and says, yes, good, leave us out of it. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yes, Mary. Then they switch topics, and Heather says, oh, my daughter told me about you going to her dance class, Mary. And then Lisa and Brittany were asking all these questions to Mary, and Mary was just trolling them. It was hilarious. And then she does say that she went with Angie. So Lisa says, oh, I haven't talked to Angie. And Mary says, why? And Lisa says, well, I found out that she called me a bad mom. Heather told me. And y'all, I really love that Mary called Heather out for being a pot stirrer and always being in the middle of the mess. Mary even went as far as to tell Heather that everywhere she goes, she always leaves a trail of lies. For example, the black eye, then the body positivity, but now she's on Ozempic. Ooh. And Heather's like, no, that's not a lie. The reality is, people like skinny people. So that's how the episode ended. And yo guys, by the preview, it looks like next week things are gonna get heated even with the husbands. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, this season is so good. But this episode in particular, I really enjoyed it because it was messy. It was, it had some fun moments. But that story with Bronwyn and her daughter really touched me, you guys. It really made me feel some type of way. But y'all let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. You have a great one. Bye.